What's up, everyone? Eric with HamRadioConcepts, KJ4YZI. If you haven't already, go ahead and click that subscribe button and like and share on Facebook to stay up to date on when videos like this are released, and you can stay informed in this vast hobby we call amateur radio. So checking out today a new addition to my QRP arsenal. This is what appears to be an mchf QRP rig. However, it is a clone of the original mchf developed by M0NKA in the UK. And this is called the RS-918. Now, I'll give credit where credit is due. The developer, M0NKA, who developed originally the mchf QRP transceiver kit. In a kit form, he developed it. So you bought the kit and you put it together and you had yourself a radio. But for the people that are not good at putting together kits, much like myself, who cannot solder tiny surface mount components that look like specks of glitter, and also if he's out of stock for the kits and you want a ready-to-go unit, this RS-918 clone would be generally a completed model that operates about identical. In fact, I think it's using the same firmware. So we're going to tell you about this in this video. A lot of features in this thing. Now, where I got it, it's in the description. I purchased it from the same user, which I found on eBay. He had the original video here, the digital modem, the PSK modem I showed you in the past. I bought that from him. I bought the Zygu X108G from him. And the information is in the description on how to get one of these. $420 shipped to my house. And it arrived in working condition. And there's a lot to go over, so I can make several videos. It is essentially a 15-watt capable SDR transceiver with a color touchscreen display. Fully compatible with HamRadioDeluxe and other software for rig control and digital modes like PSK, FT8, JT65, as well as sideband AM, FM, CW, and it also has free DV built into it. You can operate digital over HF, much like D-Star, with a narrower form and not so robust. Free DV is a whole nother video, but the capability of free DV right in the radio without having to use any kind of special hardware right from your radio. A waterfall with a spectral graph that I can show you all this inside this video about this unit. And 160 meters through 10 meters with full receiver coverage all the way across from one end to the other. DSP, low pass, band pass filtering. Customize the filters the way you want them. 2.9 kilohertz wide, 3 kilohertz wide, 10 kilohertz wide, 500 hertz wide for CW. You can do it all. So let's get into the RS-918 QRP SDR transceiver. And I say QRP, although it does 15 watts. You can use it QRP. So starting off with the rig, all metal chassis, 2.8-inch screen. The metal chassis is about 7.5 inches wide by 2 inches deep by 2.5 inches tall, roughly. And it's a little bit lighter than my FT817. It's got a little bit of weight to it. But talking about the buttons here, they're soft type tactile buttons. They got a really nice click feel to them. All right. The tuning knob, another radio that has a click when you turn it. So it's not a smooth scrolling. The knob does go down for changing the step size and also just has a click to it, but no big deal. Some people are not fancy of that. On the one side, so you have your power. It does come with a power lead that has a regular DC barrel connector on there, and on the other it's raw, so you have to put your ends on it. I got 2 spade connectors for a battery right now. 9 to 15 volts DC in. So you have headphone jack, your mic jack, so the microphone. The microphone needs a little bit of work. The microphone is a little bit on the flimsy side. I'm comparing it to a Baofeng or Baofeng microphone. Although I didn't really get a terrible audio report, you'll see here shortly. It's got a 4-pole 3.5 millimeter stereo jack for the mic. So that goes in here. Now I'm going to get a 4-pole and make a little breakout here so that I could plug a 8-pin modular like my MD100 or maybe another hand mic to plug into that. So, you know, it shouldn't be too hard to make a microphone for that. PTT ground and then your mic element. Accessory, key for a key for your paddle or straight key. Line in and line out. Now, with the line in and line out, those are padded or balanced line in and line out for computer audio for operating PSK or digital modes. However, the easier way of doing that would be this USB port right here. It's got a BNC antenna, a USB for host, I'll explain that in a minute, and DFU for, which is basically your rig control. Now you're going to use the standard, you know, a mini USB, or not a micro USB, maybe just a mini USB. And this will enable you to use cat control on HamRadioDeluxe using the FT817 protocol. So when you plug it in your computer, you should get an automatic pop-up on Windows 10 that'll install a virtual COM port driver. And if not, there's drivers online. But basically, if this was COM5 in your device manager, you go to HamRadioDeluxe and use FT817, auto select speed, COM port 5 or whatever COM port yours is, and you will get rig control on this radio through here, as well as the audio will pass in and out. So you won't need to use the line in and line out for rig control and operating digital modes. The host is for future, they call it future keyboard, maybe for PSK or digital modes right on the front of the radio, as well as loading firmware with USB flash disks. From my understanding, the firmware goes through here right now, so not a problem doing it that way. Now the speaker is on the back, and the cool thing about this is it has like a kickstand. So it props it up, and the speaker being on the back, not too bad when you got it like this. So I'm impressed with the brilliant, vivid color of the 2.8-inch touchscreen display. My camera's not doing it full justice. When you look at it with your eyes, it's really vivid on color. Touchscreen, 2.8-inch, great in high light or low light, and not grainy like my camera shows. But a lot of stuff happening on the screen. A lot of ways to customize what it looks like on the screen. For instance, starting at the top, we have your S meter and SWR meter, which can be changed to different colors. And you could also change the meter function from SWR to ALC to audio. So you can see what your audio is when you're setting your mic gain. And you can set the colors of these. Not that that's really, it's cool. You know, if you want it to look the way you want it to look, you can do that. Right under the meter, you have the band you're on. Full would represent 15 watts. And we can go down if you hit the PA button, 5 watts, 2 watts, 1 watt, 0.5 watts. So 0.5 to 15 watts. Upper sideband tuning in 1 kilohertz tuning steps, or you can go to 5 kilohertz, 10 kilohertz, you know, different tuning steps when you're tuning different bands. It also shows you kind of like the band edge. You see I have 30 meters here, and if I go up above, it just shows me general receiver coverage. So it'll show you the band edge. The waterfall on the bottom can be adjusted several ways. You can change the speed of the waterfall. You can change the color of the waterfall. You can change it to a spectral graph. You can change it just to hot and cold or rainbow colored like this, or you know, make it go real fast, make it go real slow. You can set the waterfall width and the magenta color on the bottom here that would represent the bandwidth I'm looking at on the waterfall, which is over here 2.9 kilohertz. But the thing is, there's so many settings in this manual. First of all, or in this menu, first of all, I could change the bandwidth 1.8, 2.1, 2.3, 2.9, low pass filter, band pass filter. And if you go into the menu and you go here to, let's see, filter selection, and you open up filter selection, and you can change 4 different sideband filters, 4 different CW filters to make it narrow, to make it wide, make it how you want it. I mean, I could change this 2.1 to 2.3, 2.5, look at this, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 kilohertz wide. Okay, low pass filter, or you can do roll it narrow for CW, band pass filter, low pass filter, all kinds of settings in the menu. The menu can be shown all in a video in itself. On the left top, your temperature of the unit. It does get a little bit warm just sitting here idling. It also shows you up top here your AF gain, your compression. You have RF gain, noise blanker, DSP filtering, or DSP function. So you have noise reduction, notch, noise reduction and notch, M notch, peak. You can turn it off. Also RF gain and noise blanker, and then mic gain and receive incremental tuning. So you could do all this touchscreen also. I could set it like this. All right. A lot of different, touchscreen could change the mode here. Touchscreen, CW upper side, AM, FM wide. Free DV, look at that. Free DV is like D-Star over HF, but much narrower and less robust. But Free DV is a whole nother video of digital over sideband in a very narrow, like 1.5 kilohertz or 1.1 kilohertz bandwidth. And, it's a whole nother video. Hasn't caught on too well with the community, Free DV, but digital over HF is possible directly with this radio. Just this way. So that's another video we'll talk on. And we'll go back to upper side.
Happy weekend ahead there. TI4MWMH AA0HD off and clear. Bye-bye.
Kilo Juliet 4, Yankee Zulu, India.
Kilo 7, Mike Romeo, Quebec. Kilo Juliet 4 station, come again?
Very good. Kilo Juliet 4, Yankee Zulu, India in Florida. I'm running 15 watts, and you are 5'9 plus 20 into Florida. Over. Great signal.
Okay, thank you very much. Kilo Japan 4, Yankee Zulu, India from AA0HD returning. Well, night here is Manny, Mike Alpha, November Yankee, and the QTH is Shamrock, Texas. Shamrock, Texas is a small town in the Panhandle state of Texas along Interstate 40. We're very far from Hurricane Harvey, which is probably about 12, 14 hours away from us. We're on the far north. So we'll give you the report also, and thank you for the report, 5 and 9 plus. Give you the report on the next hour. Kilo Juliet 4, Yankee Zulu, India from Alpha 0 Hotel Delta, over.
Alpha 0 Delta from Kilo Juliet 4, Yankee Zulu, India. Well, I was going to ask if you were by the hurricane. I know that's a pretty large storm that hit there, so I'm glad that you're far away from there. Well, again, I'm using 15 watts into a newer SDR transceiver, and my vertical is showing me a 5-to-1 SWR, so I probably am only given about 10 watts out of the top of the antenna or so by the time I factor the loss, but your signal is 20 or 30 over 9 here in Florida. The name is Eric, Echo Romeo India Charlie, and we're on the East Coast, south of Orlando, on the East Coast, about 3 miles from the beach. Back to you, sir, and I'll let you take it for some more contacts or whatever you're going to do. KJ4YZI, back to you.
KJ4YZI from AA0HD returning, Eric. Well, thank you very much for the nice report in there. And not drawing your transceiver, Eric. Hi. Anyway, yeah, I'm running here with a little power between 5 to 600 watts, and to a splitter beam antenna, which is about 50 feet above the ground, and the transceiver is an old ICOM IC740, Eric. So that's it. Kilo Juliet 4, Yankee Zulu India from AA0HD, over.
Looking at the menu, so here would be the menu: standard menu, configuration menu, display menu, CW mode menu or settings, and even PA configuration, as well as, you know, Hall of Fame. Let's look at the Hall of Fame first. There is the M0MKA, Chris, founder of mchf, KA7OEI. So they're giving, I guess, credit to these people without cloning it and just ignoring them. All right. So anyways, if I go into, for instance, display menu, I could change the filter bandwidth, display color, spectrum size, spectrum filter, you know, the scope light. In fact, if I go down here, I'm going to turn it to, let's see, scope, rainbow, S-meter, old school style, based on dBm. So let me do this. We're going to turn the waterfall. Look at all these features. Now, I wouldn't go in here and mess with all this unless you know what you're doing. I mean, IQ phase, balance, forward. You could change it forward and reflected power for the SWR. Touchscreen standard, or yeah, just leave that standard. All kinds of menu stuff. Let's go down here to display menu. Oh, we're already in there. System info shows you the info for the ROM and RAM, codecs, all that stuff in here. Standard menu. Digital modes, SAM PLL, side tones, RF gains, AGC settings. Look at this, mic input gain. Definitely a lot of features that you can tweak in this radio to do a lot of different things. This button right here that says tune is not a tuner built in, but however, if I change my meter to SWR and I push tune, it sends out a small carrier and shows me what my SWR is without me having to whistle into the microphone. So if I'm trying to tune a wire or something, I could check my SWR right here on the screen. Now, a quick way to go from waterfall to spectrum graph is you hold band plus and minus. Now I have a spectral graph. And as I tune, let's see, step size, I want, see, real time. So you can see where the signals are when you're looking for stations when you're out in the field. Here's what a washer machine sounds like on spin cycle. Look at it move on the graph. Here's what it looks like on the waterfall.
the fire stations installed. Where the pits go down. Okay. There's single bay and fire stations installed. Okay. So I sticked
And it's going to be so far south and to the west of us that we might get some showers from the rain band. But we're not going to get the kind of rain they're talking about. They're talking about over 12 inches of rain down on the Gulf Coast and the Houston area. You're supposed to stick around for a week, Will.
So an overview of the radio. You know, I can make several videos on this. I want to show some videos on using it digital modes next week, using it for PSK and RIDI and FT8, as well as out in the field. One thing I'll mention is make sure your power stays stable. It does have a cutoff when it hits, I think, 10 volts or 10.5 volts. But when it gets close to that, it starts doing crazy things when you're transmitting. You'll see that it doesn't transmit, I guess being that it's SDR, when you transmit with too low of a voltage, the screen will flicker and it'll go from transmit to receive fast. So that happened somewhere around 10 volts, I guess. So you want to make sure that you have a stable voltage, as well as nothing that's going to produce very high static or static discharge into the radio. I think it'll be a little less forgiving than something like a regular tube type rig would be. So I hope you liked the video. This is part one of several on the RS-918. And coming up soon, after I get done making some videos on this, you gotta check this one out. Here's a preview of another one coming out. This little QRP rig right here is awesome. So we'll show you that here soon. Until then, subscribe. 7-3. Thanks for watching. More videos on the way. From KJ4YZI.